Hello everyone, my name is Disha Mehta, a legal intern at LEXIS and Company and a law student at Gujarat University. So as we were talking about in the previous videos regarding the types of laws in India, in the first part of the video we had already discussed about the common law and the criminal law. And so in this video we are going to continue with the rest of the two, which are the civil law and the statutory law. So let us start. So civil law. It can be simply defined as the law which deals with actions which are not crimes. All the civil matters are heard by the civil courts. The Civil Procedure Code (CPC) regulates the functioning of the civil courts. This codes lay down the procedure of filing civil cases, which includes specific rules for proceedings of a case, rights of appeal, review or reference, etc. With each religion having its own specific laws to follow, Indian civil law becomes complex. Indian laws are changing according to the modern world after independence. For example, the most recently, the Domestic Violence Act was passed in the year 2005. Civil law can be further subdivided into tort law, contract law, family law, and property law. So first of all, let us talk about the law of tort. So the law of tort was planted in the Indian Constitution back in 1980s. In other words, tort is a civil wrong, the appropriate remedy for which is a suit for unliquidated damages. It involves personal injury and civil wrongdoing. A tort is a civil wrong done by one person or entity to another, which results in injury or property damage, and compensation given is in monetary terms to the injured party. There are three pigeonholes of torts. First is negligence, second is international tort, and the third one is the strict liability. Negligence is a tort which is done unintentionally. On the other hand, intentional tort, a deliberate wrong act in which the defendant acted with intent to cause harm or injury. Few illustrations of the intentional torts includes assault and battery, false imprisonment, fraud, invasion of privacy, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Strict liability is based on the principle which does not require actual negligence or intent to injure. It is established on an absolute or strict duty to ensure something is safe. Master-servant relationship, liability of the state, liability of the directors of the company, partnership firm, etc. are instances where strict liability may arise. The next is the contract law. So, the Indian Contract Act 1872 deals with all kinds of contract law. It contains all provisions regarding to the validity of contract to its discharge and also includes the penalties for breach of the contract. It is a law that deals with agreement between the two parties. If one party violates any of the terms and conditions of the contract, they have committed a civil wrong known as breach of contract. Generally speaking, contracts may be oral or written. However, there are certain types of contracts that must be reduced to writing only. The next subpart is the family law or personal law. So, another branch of civil law is family law. It deals with marriage, divorce, annulment, child custody, adoption, birth, child support, and any other issues affecting the families. Various religions have different laws in this regard, like that of the Hindu law, Muslim law, Christian law, Parsi law, etc. The cases relating to this law is dealt by the family court, and its functions include dividing up property and finances after a divorce, establishing child custody, child support, and spousal support, among other things. Some newer areas that fall under the umbrella of family law are same-sex marriages, artificial conception, surrogate motherhood, in vitro fertilization, and palimony. The last one is the property law. Both personal and real properties are included in this law. Property can be tangible or intangible. Tangible property includes jewelry, animals, merchandise, etc., while intangible property includes patents, copyrights, stocks, and bonds, land, and anything built on it that cannot be easily removed, as well as anything under the surface of the land and such as oils and minerals are included in the real property. Tort related to the property can be of two kinds: trespass and conversion. Trespass to land is said to happen when a defendant enters plaintiff's private property without the consent of the plaintiff. On the other hand, conversion refers to a defendant depriving a plaintiff of their personal property without the plaintiff's consent and then using the plaintiff's property as his own. So, here are the subdivisions of the civil law. Now, moving on to the last type of law, which is the statutory law. It is also known as the legislative law. Statutory laws can be set down by the national, state legislature or by the local municipalities. It is the basic structure of the present legal system of India. The statute is a formal act of legislature in written form. It declares the will of the legislature. The statutory law comes into existence by codification. The legislative enactments or the statutory laws follow the usual process of legislation. It goes as follows. A bill is proposed in the legislature and voted upon. If approved, it passes to the executive authority, either a governor at the state level or the president at the federal level. If the executive signs the bill, then it becomes a statute. If the executive fails or refuses to sign the bill, veto power can be used and sent back to the legislature. If the parliament again passes the bill by a required margin, then it becomes a law. Statutes are also recorded or codified in writing and published. Statutory laws generally becomes effective on a set date written into the bill. Statutes can be altered by a later parliamentary enactment or if found unconstitutional by a court of competent jurisdiction. So this is the statutory law, and by this we are coming to an end for the types of law, and in that we have discussed the common law, the criminal law, civil law and the statutory law. And if you have any doubt, please write down in the comment section below and tell us how do you like it. Thank you.